What's the dumbest thing you actually believed? As a kid, my sister told me that we had an older brother that died. She said he died when playing bowling and his fingers didn't come out the ball and slid all the way down the alley, then he turned into a skittle. I used to think that people exclusively wore hats if they were bald, because that's why my dad wore a hat. That reindeer wasn't an actual animal, but specifically a mythical animal that Santa Claus used. I believed this until I was 23 or so, when I saw some nature documentary talking about reindeer. I was like, wow, it? More so naive and innocent, rather than dumb but still funny. My dad used to tell us kids that a dwarf/little person worked in and operated every car park barrier in the world. Every time he drove up to one, he'd press the button for the ticket and say, "Cheers mate. How's the wife?" and fake a conversation as he waited for the barrier to open, lol. That the Great Wall of China had a cat adoption program. I was meeting my friend's boyfriend for the first time, and he mentioned that he had just adopted one of the retired Great Wall of China cats. China trains these cats to patrol the wall and kill vermin. And at the end of their 7-year stint they are retired and adopted out to a forever home. I kept asking questions about it. How do you apply? Are they a specific breed? How do they get transported worldwide? In the end, he told me that he made the whole thing up because my friend had told him I was really gullible and wanted to see how far he could push it. But he didn't think I'd get so enthused. The worst part? I was in my mid-20s at the time. Edit. Thanks for the awards. Lovelies. Also, just thought I'd address some of the comments and clarify that my friend is actually a really sweet person. She's stood up for me many times when people have been cruel or insulting. It was an innocent prank, and I'm okay with taking the out of myself. Close bracket. When I was a kid, I used to think professional wrestling was real, and The Undertaker scared the living out of me during his whole Ministry of Darkness phase. I thought he actually was Satan's minister or something. Like, yeah, he's an undead overlord here to bring an eternity of darkness and misery to this planet. But he also has to make a weekly television appearance to win a wrestling competition. And you can buy his action figure at Toys R Us. I was convinced that Greeks still worshipped Zeus and other gods for a while after I heard the word Greek Orthodox Church as a kid. When I was a little kid, I believed that when people got divorced, they had a divorce ceremony, like where they had to go to church and say, "I don't." And I imagined the woman wore a black divorce dress, like her wedding dress had been dyed black, and that everybody went to the reception, where the ex-bride and ex-groom sat on opposite sides of the hall, and there was a divorce cake where the little bride and groom on top had their backs to each other with their arms angrily crossed. I eventually learned from watching my mom's soap operas that this was not the case, and was kind of disappointed cause I'd been to a few weddings by then, and was interested in what a divorce ceremony was like. My dog went to a farm until I was 35. I believed my uncle's roommate just slept on the couch. I thought sugar grew in sugar caves, similar to salt caves. I believed that sugar crystals, like rock candy, just grew in caves, and there were parts of the world with beautiful crystallized sugar caves. I was 25 years old when I brought it up in conversation with my fiance. I tried to prove to him they were real, and it was when I reached my 4th page on Google, I realized my whole world was a lie. And X200B. Edit. Oh wow, thank you for all the comments and awards. Really appreciate it. Just some more background. When I was growing up, my parents always had these crystal sugar sticks to use in their tea, and I guess as a kid, I just believed this was sugar in its //raw// form. Especially as it looked like the rock crystals. I've never thought about it or questioned it as the topic of sugar origins never got brought up. Imagine someone telling you that something you always believed wasn't right, like wool came from trees not sheep. Wouldn't you be on the 4th page of Google too? Many people have been asking why I didn't learn about this at school as sugar canes, as there were sugar plantations during American slavery. I grew up in the UK, and unfortunately we are not taught about American history or the slave trade in history. I know loads about the Tudors though. I will do more research and educate myself on this, as I knew about cotton plantations, but not sugarcane plantations. And yes, coming from the UK, I knew about treacle mines, and the ironic thing is that I couldn't understand how anyone could believe them. That I could smell something while underwater. When I was around 10 over 12 years old, I was in a tropical themed water park where also happened to be a herbal bath. It smelled very nice, which I had not expected. Most of the tropical plants were fake plastic plants, so I figured the water in the bath was normal swimming pool water and the smell was coming from something else. The bath was surrounded with a small aromatic herb garden which didn't look fake. I sneakily took a sample from a thyme plant that felt surprisingly real. But because the air was filled with all the different aromas and a hint of chlorine, I couldn't smell anything different. When I tried to smell the thyme, I figured the only place where my sense of smell couldn't be fooled by any factory was underwater. For 5 seconds I actually felt pretty smart, until I tried. Edit. Wow. Thanks for the awards and upvotes. This makes my day. I wish I could answer the question about the smell underwater, but I found out it doesn't work like that. As soon as the water entered my nose, I noticed the flaw in my plan and the irony of it all. My head came up immediately, all while laughing, because I felt so smart with my waterproof plan a second ago, and coughing, which only made it worse and resulted in another gulp of water going in the opposite direction. No physical damage indeed. Some people describe how this works in the comments, and as others said, it hurts a bit, but not too long. Glad to see some of you also tried to experiment with their airways underwater. Even though our results probably never will lead to a scientific breakthrough, let us never be dumber than that again. Left square bracket, right square bracket. When I was little, I genuinely believed the Teletubbies were evil and that, if I didn't watch them on TV every night, even though I hated the show, that they would come and get me. To be fair though, they're kind of creepy. As a kid, I thought that the world wars were like battle royales, where there were no alliances, no surrenders, and just pure bloody violence between every country on Earth. E.g., I thought every country fought all of its neighbors simultaneously.